I think an important thing to note that when you're healing, a lot of the time there is a very dark spot before there is a significant amount of change. And as I addressed in my last video, resistance, there's a tendency to feel really bad about the spot you're in. I'm talking about really, really dark, kind of scary places. And what I have to say about these places is that they're very uncomfortable, and I'm not pretending they're not. But if you are in one of these really dark spots right now, I'm talking about maybe even, really abysmal to the point where, you don't know if you can go on, or, nothing has ever been this bad before. You don't see how anything could possibly change. Just know that this is kind of an invitation for you, and this is creating a scenario where you're being pushed to move. The amount of pain you are experiencing is a catalyst. So a lot of the times when we have this basically a dark night of the soul, as I've heard it called, it means that something is kind of in incubation. And it might help you to reframe things that way rather than focusing on the fact of, wow, I'm in a really, really bad spot right now. It just means that you've become so uncomfortable that it's time to really reflect and try to take this time to be really careful, comfortable, and supportive of yourself, because you're going through a massive change. If you've seen that meme around the internet about the butterfly, he has to go into his cocoon, and then he basically turns into goo while he's in there. And if you were doing that, you couldn't do that while he was walking around every day, because change doesn't work that way. It needs time. It needs a process. We need basically the solitude in order to do that sometimes. And sometimes depression is that solitude. It's kind of inviting you to step back. It's like sometimes you don't feel like engaging with a lot of other people. This could be why. You could be going through a part of your life that you've outgrown, and it's now time to really reflect on this and think about what needs to change, what needs to be different. My parents always tell me the story about when we went on vacation to Martha's Vineyard with my brother. He was 2 at the time. He was very cranky, and he was crying all the time, and he was just really difficult. And he just seemed very frustrated. He was having trouble sleeping. And then once we got back from the vacation, it was a couple days later even, he just kind of went to sleep for a little bit. And then we came back. He was this whole other different kid. He was talking and interacting. So my dad has this theory that during that time, he was probably so frustrated with the fact that he wanted to be able to communicate, and he wanted to use these skills, but where he was at wasn't quite there yet. So he needed the time to kind of rest and incorporate everything. And sometimes that's exactly what it is. You may have accumulated these skills, and it's just you're not really sure how to go about using them yet. So you need to take the time to reflect and take the time to to process and heal, and then when you come out of something, you're usually stronger. So that's what the Dark Night of the Soul is usually about. And I feel like a lot of times in our society, instead of looking at why this is happening, it's usually oh, let's push it away, let's try to move away from this spot. But just know that this could be a really amazing invitation, and things could be in store for you if you accept the challenge. So that's just another way to look at really despair and depression and